I purchased a home using my own savings for the down payment, but my girlfriend insisted on having equal ownership. When I declined to include her on the title, she escalated things by hiring an attorney and involving her parents. I've been with Sarah for 3 years, and we started living together 2 years ago in a cramped, run-down apartment. Despite its flaws, we made it work, splitting all expenses evenly, even though my tech job pays more than her decent but lower-earning role. I never minded the 50-50 split. It felt fair, and I didn't complain. Roughly 8 months ago, we began discussing buying a home together since rent was eating up our money with no return. I'd been saving diligently for a down payment and had a strong credit score, making me confident I could secure a mortgage. Sarah was enthusiastic, and we spent weekends browsing listings online and visiting open houses, which was exciting at first, like we were envisioning our future together. Things got tricky when we moved toward making offers. I met with a mortgage advisor who explained that applying solo would qualify me for a larger loan, up to $500,000, compared to $350,000 if Sarah was included, due to her student loan debt and less favorable credit. This meant we could afford a nicer home in a better area. I shared this with Sarah, and she was initially upset, feeling uneasy about not being on the mortgage or title. I reassured her that the house would still be ours together in spirit, as we'd share the home and our lives, even if my name alone was on the paperwork. I explained that a $350,000 budget would limit us to older homes needing repairs or less desirable neighborhoods, while my solo application could secure something better. After some discussion, she seemed to agree, and we proceeded with me applying a loan. I used $75,000 of my hard-earned savings for the down payment and covered inspection fees, closing costs, and other expenses. Sarah chipped in for minor things like moving costs and some furniture, but I bore the bulk of the financial load. We found a wonderful $420,000 home in a great area with good schools and a spacious yard, exactly what we wanted. The mortgage approval went smoothly, and Sarah was involved in every decision, from selecting the house to choosing decor. She was as thrilled as I was. But at closing, she asked about being added to the title. I reminded her we'd agreed I'd be the sole owner due to financial reasons. She argued she assumed she'd still have legal ownership, despite not contributing to the down payment or qualifying for the loan. I explained that it wouldn't be fair for her to have ownership without financial contribution, as she could walk away without responsibility if we split, leaving me with the mortgage. She went quiet, and I thought the issue was resolved. But weeks later, she kept raising it, saying I was treating her like a guest rather than a partner. I clarified she wasn't paying rent. We continued splitting utilities and groceries as always, but she felt insecure about her lack of legal stake. A month after moving in, she proposed contributing to the mortgage to earn equity. I explained that's not how it works, since the loan is in my name and my responsibility. I suggested she focus on paying off her high-interest student loans first. This sparked a heated argument where she accused me of being controlling and making her feel like a roommate. I insisted I wasn't, emphasizing our partnership and shared life, but she felt I was dismissing her concerns. We chose the house together, but the financial aspects were my responsibility, which I thought was clear. Tensions lingered, and she grew meticulous about tracking her spending on household items, making snide remarks about living in my house. I pointed out she never acted this way when we rented and split costs equally. Then, she revealed her parents, who are financially comfortable, offered $50,000 to help her gain ownership. I declined, explaining the house was already purchased, and I didn't want to complicate things with her parents' involvement. If we broke up, would I owe them money? Would they have a say in the house? It felt like an unnecessary risk. Sarah accused me of lacking commitment, which I found absurd since buying a house for us to share was a huge step. I countered that I was the one taking the financial risk with a $400,000 mortgage. She argued she wanted security, but I felt her demand for ownership without contribution was unfair. The issue kept resurfacing, straining our relationship. She mentioned her sister thought I was being unfair, but I felt her sister didn't know the full story. My savings, my credit, my risk. I love Sarah and want us to work, but I need to protect my financial interests. I worked hard for my savings and credit, and I've seen how messy breakups can get with shared assets. Maybe if we get engaged or married, we can revisit it, but for now, this setup feels right. Am I wrong here? Update 1. After reflecting on feedback suggesting I was unfair, I considered discussing a compromise with Sarah about the title. But yesterday, she dropped a bombshell. Acting nervous, she admitted she'd consulted a lawyer about her legal options without telling me. The lawyer confirmed she has no claim to the house since we're not married, but suggested she could build an equity case by proving contributions to mortgage payments or home improvements. She claimed she just wanted to know her rights, but I felt betrayed that she went behind my back. When I pressed her, she admitted the lawyer advised that a written agreement about mortgage contributions could give her a future ownership claim. This felt like a calculated move to force my hand. I told her this proved why I hesitated to add her to the title. She was trying to legally maneuver her way into ownership of something she didn't pay for. She insisted it wasn't her intent, but I didn't buy it. She also revealed her parents were willing to fund legal action if needed, which felt like a threat. We had a massive fight, and she left to stay with her sister. I was relieved to have space, but furious about her secrecy. This morning, she returned, apologized for not disclosing the lawyer, but still pushed for an equity sharing agreement. I refused, especially after her actions. Her going to a lawyer and involving her parents behind my back shows a lack of trust. I'm glad I stood firm, as this could have become a legal mess if I'd added her to the title earlier. I still love her, but I'm questioning if this reveals her true character when things don't go her way. Update 2. Sarah returned after 3 days at her sister's, apologizing again and saying she wanted to resolve things without others' involvement. I hoped we could move forward, but she began obsessively documenting every expense. Grocery receipts, cleaning supplies, even her share of the electric bill. When I asked why, she admitted her lawyer advised her to track contributions to strengthen a potential property claim. Despite her apology, she was still following legal advice to build a case against me. Last weekend, her parents visited, and things escalated. They immediately confronted me about Sarah's lack of security in the home, arguing that as a committed couple, we should share assets. I reiterated my financial contributions and risks, but her dad dismissed it, saying relationships should involve shared ownership. Her mom added they'd give Sarah money for ownership, which I again declined as retroactive and complicated. Her dad then implied I wasn't committed, which infuriated me. I'd bought a house for us to live in. They suggested I might kick Sarah out, which I've never hinted at. I told them this was between Sarah and me, and I didn't appreciate their interference. Her dad claimed Sarah had shared everything, painting me as the villain. After they left, Sarah and I fought again. I accused her of rallying her family against me, and she admitted she sought their support because I wasn't addressing her concerns. She let slip that she feared having nothing to show for our relationship if we broke up, revealing she saw the house as a financial safety net. I argued relationships aren't business deals, and her focus on assets showed her true priorities. We've barely spoken since, and the house feels tense. She spends most of her time at her sister's or in the bedroom. I'm starting to think this relationship is doomed. Update 3. Sarah moved out yesterday, and while I'm sad, I'm mostly relieved. I know I made the right call by trusting my instincts. Things deteriorated further, with Sarah fixating on the house and pushing for a legal agreement. A week ago, she presented a cohabitation contract drafted with her lawyer, outlining how her contributions to expenses and future mortgage payments would grant her ownership. It even counted past utility and grocery payments as equity, which is absurd, and included a clause forcing me to buy her out or sell the house if we split. I refused to sign, calling it one-sided. She said she couldn't stay in the relationship without financial protection. I countered that most couples buying homes together contribute to the down payment and mortgage, which she didn't. Then she claimed her 3 years of support in our relationship helped me succeed, entitling her to the house. I was stunned. She was taking credit for my career and savings. I told her relationships don't work like that. Support doesn't equal ownership. She accused me of using her and keeping assets separate, saying she couldn't be with someone who didn't treat her as an equal. I said if equality meant giving her my house, we weren't compatible. She packed her things with her sister's help, acting like I was forcing her out, though I never did. The night before she left, she made one last plea for compromise, but I held firm. After she moved out, I felt empty, but certain I'd avoided a disaster. If we'd married or had kids, she might have used similar tactics to claim my assets. I'm glad I saw her true colors now and can find someone who values me, not my possessions.